Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy Bowser Jr. Fan 13, and guess what, guys? Today is my birthday! That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's my birthday, and I am officially turning 23 this year. God, I feel so old. And what better way to celebrate my birthday with another top 10, or better yet, we're doing a top 20 this time. Yes, you heard it right, folks. So, we're gonna be doing a top 20, and today's list, we are going to be covering my top 20 favorite fictional characters of all time. This was an inspiration from one of my friends who did a video on his top 20 favorite fictional characters, Azusa MC, aka the real life Issei. Go and check his channel out. I'll leave a link in the description below. Yeah. So he gave me the inspiration to make my own top 20 video on my favorite characters. So I thought, why not? I'm gonna be kind of going on a little ramble about each of these characters, on why I like them, their origins, who they are as their characters, and their powers and stuff. Like, I'm just gonna gush and just be heavily excited over these characters. Warning, there will be spoilers to some certain characters who come from certain games and certain mangas and animes that I'm pretty sure none of you have heard of or never watched or something. Just want you to be aware, because I will be spoiling a lot of that stuff. So without further ado, let's get into this action, shall we? Alright, so starting off with number 20, we got a character from one of my favorite cartoons from growing up from my childhood. Ice King from Adventure Time. I'm gonna be honest with you all, I think Ice King is like the most misunderstood character. I mean, it's not his fault that he's evil. And, okay, look, to be fair, him being a total creep and weirdo on princesses, including Princess Bubblegum, I cannot defend him on that, but all the crazy evil stuff that he usually does, including trying to kill several people, including Finn and Jake, on occasional times, that's not his fault, because it's his origins is pretty sad. Like, he used to be a man named Simon, and he was just a regular dude, just, you know, living his normal life. But when he came across the magic crown that gave him his ice powers, he started to slowly go insane and lose his sanity, and to the point where his girlfriend left him. And honestly, I really felt bad for him. I can see why he kidnaps princesses on a daily basis. He's just lonely, and he just wants friends too. But everyone just treats him like a jerk. And yeah, he may have done some horrible things, but he's made up for them, and when push comes to shove, Ice King can actually be a decent, good person. And plus, I found it pretty wholesome in the later seasons when we find out that he and Marceline during the war used to be like very close friends. Like, that's honestly so sweet. Ice King, I'd honestly want to be friends with him.
You and me, we're survivors, right? Like cockroaches or rats. Sure, you could fight and try to save the day, but what if you lose? Then what? You could die. Better to run and hide like a rat, right, buddy?
Did you just call me a cockroach, Simon?
What? No. No.
Thanks, buddy.
Yes.
Alright, kicking off number 19, we have a character who makes their official return to the channel from my top 10 favorite vampires video. We got a vampire from a show that is completely forgotten and yet underrated. Miyu Yamano from Vampire Princess Miyu. Miyu is a half-human, half-vampire who is also a royal princess, and she was chosen by the Earth to become Earth's guardian, protecting humans from these evil demon-like spirits called Shinma. Shinma are these demon monsters that take control of humans by playing with their emotions and manipulating them in order to possess their bodies and to kill the humans. So it's up to Miyu to vanish these demons and send them back to the darkness. And she does this using her fire magic, and she can use said fire magic to burn the demons alive or send them back to the dark world. But just her fire magic alone isn't enough to deal with most demons, as she usually has the help of her faithful assistant Larva to fight alongside her. Then, when the victim of the Shinma is traumatized from what's been going on to the point where they are completely beyond recovery, Miyu usually gives them an offer to quote-unquote bring them to eternal happiness. So there's this thing in some episodes where Miyu offers eternal happiness by drinking the blood from the victims, and once she drinks blood from humans, for whatever reason, they just disappear out of thin air. Now, I didn't understand what this meant at first, but it wasn't until watching the final episode I found out that when Miyu was talking about sending them to eternal happiness, she brings them to this world where their souls get sealed inside of this little bubble where for the rest of their lives they could just sleep and dream all these happy dreams of their desires and without having to worry about anything, which I'm pretty sure that's what she meant by that. So basically she's bringing them to a more happier afterlife, well, if you want to call it that. And though Miyu is not a perfect guardian, she does usually have Larva, Sheena, and the friends that she meets along the way to help give her advice and stuff. I mean, she's not the most noble guardian and not the most noble vampire in the world, but she's a type of vampire with a good heart, and that's all that counts.
Without us, you would have been able to live quietly as you wish to. However, no one can escape the cycle of destiny. No matter where you go, you will always be together.
Number 18. Going from one of the most good-hearted vampires, we got one of the most evil and yet badass vampires to ever exist. And the one who made it at number 1 in my top 10 vampire list. Alucard from Hellsing. Alucard is a demonic vampire who serves under the organization of the Hellsing Foundation, led by their leader Integra. And usually Alucard would go out being sent on missions to deal with other vampires or zombies or whatever demons are causing trouble to the organization or to the world in general. And Alucard has no problems with following orders. But make no mistake, he's no lapdog. He does whatever he wants. And it doesn't matter if you are a human, vampire, or whatever. If he wants to, or if you provoke him, or if you even try fighting him, or trying to kill him, or any sorts, he'll kill you, and he does not care. He has no remorse for all of his actions, and it's very clear. But what makes Alucard so awesome is that he is freaking immortal. Like, no matter how many times you try to decapitate him, stab him, or shoot him with guns and stuff, Alucard cannot die, like seriously. And what's even crazy is that he's got a bunch of weird transformations. His main transformation, when he releases his restrictions, is this weird form where he turns into sludge with a bunch of eyeballs, and said body can also turn into dog mouths, which allows him to eat and gobble up his opponents, which is extremely freaky and creepy. And he can also summon a whole tsunami of blood and souls of the million victims he massacred. That is just absolutely insane. Alucard is just so badass and so cool. He even likes packing guns. I mean, it's kind of weird for a vampire to be holding guns and stuff when he's got this godlike powers, but hey, if you want to be an absolute badass, I'm all fine with that.
Is that really all you had? Such a shame I overestimated you. As a vampire, you were just a pathetic piece of shit. Now you're nothing but dog shit. The one upstairs didn't seem like much, but they're having more trouble with him than I would have expected.
Alright, so for number 17, we have one of my favorite waifus of all time, St. Louis from Azure Lane. So those who don't know, Azure Lane is this mobile game where it's kind of like a Navy ship battle game, but the ships themselves are anime girls. It's kind of a weird world, but hey, I mean, that's usually the type of things you'd expect in games like that. So, St. Louis is one of the most popular characters in the game, and she's one of the most recognizable ones, and I'm not gonna lie, I really like St. Louis. Like, not just because of how pretty she is, but I think she's a pretty interesting character. Like, the vibes that she just gives off the good waifu vibes. Like, she's pure waifu material. Not to mention the outfits that she wears. Like, god damn, those outfits are crazy. But anyways, as for her story, she is part of the Eagle Union Squad. I'm pretty sure it's basically like the US Navy Army of some sort. And she was involved in some sort of battle during Pearl Harbor. And due to her lucky survival skills or something, like, she survived out of luck, basically, and because of this, she was given the nickname Lucky Lou. And that's pretty much all there is to it. I think St. Louis is pretty awesome, she's pretty cool, and she's definitely one of the best waifus. She's one of those type of girls that I just really want to cuddle with sometimes, especially when watching some movies or just anything in general.
私ときの言葉、品物のチョイス、どれをとっても完璧と言っていいくらいよ。じゃあどうして99点なのかって？それはこれからの生活で100点以上にしてもらわなくっちゃってことかな。
Okay, number 16. This is gonna go to a character that comes from one of my most favorite and beloved anime series of all time, Zenitsu Agatsuma from Demon Slayer. So, Zenitsu is one of the main characters of the show, and he becomes a Demon Slayer under the orders of his master, who he also refers to as Grandpa. He travels alongside the main character Tanjiro and his sister Nezuko, and their friend Inosuke. And, okay, I'm gonna be honest, when I first watched Demon Slayer, guys, I absolutely hated Zenitsu. Like, Zenitsu used to be one of my #1 most hated characters in the entire show. Mostly because he was a complete coward, and I couldn't stand watching him just being a scaredy cat and all. And I just found it extremely weird that when he got so scared to the point where he passes out, and once he's asleep, that's when he actually gets serious and locks in. It always felt weird to me. And not to mention, he's a bit of a womanizer. Like, the dude's always trying to perv on beautiful women, including Nezuko, who he has a crush on. But as time progressed, Zenitsu actually became a much better character in some form. Like, he actually started to grow on me, and I started to kind of enjoy his comedic moments too. And through the Hashira training arc and the Infinity Castle arc, that's when Zenitsu got fully serious. Like, after he found out about his master's death and learning that one of his friends, Kaigaku, became a demon, he locked in, and oh my god, that fight was intense. Zenitsu went from being my most hated character to my most favorite character in the entire show. And his fighting style is pretty cool. Zenitsu has the thunder-breathing sword style technique, and it's pretty cool. It's basically a sword technique that makes you move fast like thunder and lightning, and it's just so cool. Now, the thunder-breathing technique only has like 6 forms, and Zenitsu only knows the first form. But out of nowhere in the Infinity Castle movie, he created the 7th form all on his own, which was insane. That was one of the best highlights in the show, and it's one of the main reasons why Zenitsu is now one of my most favorite beloved characters. I am just hoping for more great things from this character.
You really are a good person, aren't you, Tanjiro? Just focus on what you need to do. No matter what it may take. This is something I have to do.
Okie dokie, now it's time for number 15, and as another one of my most favorite badass characters of all time, Leon S. Kennedy from the Resident Evil series. If there's a zombie horror survivalist out there that it just screams badasses, I mean, there's so many you could choose from, but for me, Leon Kennedy is definitely right up there. So Leon originally started out as a rookie cop who was supposed to work at Raccoon City, but things did not go well because on his first day, a zombie outbreak was happening, and throughout his job, he had to survive a whole horde of zombies and BOWs, and the journey was just absolutely insane for Leon. It traumatized him so bad. But after being confronted by the government, they were impressed by his skills and how he was one of the few survivors of Raccoon City, so they offered him a job to work under the president as a secret agent, and Leon agrees. So after the tough, rigorous training, Leon goes on his very first solo mission in Resident Evil 4, where he's on a mission to rescue the president's daughter, Ashley Graham, from this cult called Los Illuminados, and defeat their leader, Osmond Sadler. And man, was that such a fantastic journey. Resident Evil 4 was just amazing. And then from Resident Evil 6 and onwards, Leon would become some sort of emo dude and just, yeah. But still, Leon is just the absolute best. Like, when it comes to Leon's combat, sure, he just may wield a bunch of guns and stuff, but he's got hands too. I mean, dude knows martial arts and stuff. He can parry attacks and he can roundhouse kick zombies. Like, just seeing Leon on screen and all this cool fighting is pretty amazing. Plus, Leon has got some funny, snappy one-liners and acting a little dorky a bit, kind of like his Resident Evil 2 counterpart, but still, RE4 Leon is the best Leon.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
Alright guys, it's time for number 14. And this spot is gonna go to one of my favorite waifus from one of my favorite fighting games. Helena Douglas from the Dead or Alive franchise. Helena Douglas made her debut in Dead or Alive 2. She is the daughter of the CEO of DOA Tech, Fame Douglas, who sadly passed away in later years. And then Helena would eventually take over her father's company and be the new CEO. DOA Tech is basically like, it's basically like the Mishima Zaibatsu, only if it's run by good people. So, before Helena got involved with the Dead or Alive tournament, she was also a opera singer singing with her mother Maria on stage. But one day, an assassin named Christine was hired to assassinate Helena, but her mother ends up jumping out of the way to save her daughter, but at the cost of her life. So Helena sort of went on a little arc where she had to defeat Christine, who murdered her mother and stuff. And the crazy journey that she had to go through was a bit insane. But outside of that, Helena is a really good person. she also is willing to like help out the heroes whenever things get a bit too serious, so not much needs to be said. Plus, I like her fighting style. I'm not sure how exactly she fights, like, I don't know how the French usually fights, but she's also got a bit of Japanese martial arts alongside her for a reason that I won't really specify, but still, that's pretty neat. And plus, Helena's a lady that has good taste. Like, she's one of the most fanciest characters, and you could tell because she has good taste in clothing. Like, all of her costumes and outfits that she wears in DOA, it just screams how much of a fancy person that she truly is. I mean, considering that she grew up in a family that's rich, that owns a company, and all that stuff, like, that seems to be something that you'd expect. But I just think Helena is such a beautiful and great waifu. And plus, I just really like all the times, like, whenever Helena is facing her opponent, sometimes she can get a bit sassy and stuff, and a little flirtatious, and I don't know, something about that just makes me feel all happy and warm inside.
What happened to all that spirit you had a moment ago?
And now it's time for number 13. This is gonna go to another one of my favorite characters. It's not a waifu, but it's another fighting game character. Akira Kazama from Rival Schools. Alright, so this character, I consider her to be one of the most interesting characters in Rival Schools, and for several reasons. Akira attended an all-girls high school, and she was just enjoying life as it is, but one day when all the students of the different high schools started to go missing, her brother Daigo was captured, so she ends up disguising herself, pretending to be a boy at Gedo High, just to get the help from his friends Edge and Gon to look for her brother. And when she ends up revealing herself to actually be a girl, the gang actually accepts her as one of her friends. Then in the sequel Project Justice, when Daigo gets captured again, only this time he's being brainwashed, Akira goes out of her way to save him, this time with the help of her friends Zaki and Eureka. Man, I just gotta say that I really like Akira, not just by her design and her fighting style, it's her personality that just screams, I love this character for several reasons. Like, you can't tell like what type of person Akira is because she's kind of got a split personality. Like, when she's normally wearing her regular clothes or stuff, she's normally like a sweet person. Like, she's all kind and innocent and stuff. And whenever she usually has to fight out of protection or just for fun, she always starts out her fights being like, if I go too far, please forgive me, which is pretty nice. But when she puts on the biker outfit that she wears to pretend to be a guy, her personality takes a bit of a change. Like, she acts all tough and serious and she goes like, move or you'll get hurt. It's like, yo, that is like so cool. Like, I can't tell like whether is she like supposed to be like a very kind and sweet person, or is she just a badass or something. Like, it's hard to tell at times, but either way, I'm not complaining because it's one of gaming's greatest mysteries.
Let's go, brother!
See ya! See you.
Come on, brother!
You win!
All right, number 12. Here we're going to go to one of the greatest, if not most iconic JRPG protagonists of all time. Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII. Cloud was a mercenary who used to work in the soldier program run by the Shinra Electric Power Company. But after he quit, he decided to join Avalanche, an anti-Shinra terrorist group led by Barrett, and one of the other members being Tifa, his childhood friend. offers him a job to join them in bombing the Mako reactors in order to save the planet. However, as time progressed, Cloud ends up running into a mysterious girl named Aerith, who claims to be a Cetra, and she's the last of her race. So Shinra is after her so that they could go to the Promised Land. So Cloud is doing everything he can to protect her, but along the ways, he ends up running into an old nemesis of his, a man named Sephiroth, who used to be a legendary hero that he used to look up to, but now walked down a path of darkness to become evil, to become the god of this new world. So it's up to Cloud and his friends to put a stop to Sephiroth. But as we learn from Cloud, things are not as all as it may seem, because you see, when we start our journey with Cloud, he's this cool, badass mercenary who's willing to do all these jobs and stuff, for the right price, of course, and he can be a bit dorky sometimes, but he just keeps it cool, and he's also a very nice guy, deep down, so that's one of the cool things about Cloud. But we also learned something very crazy about Cloud, is that all that badassery that he, masked himself as is not really his actual personality, because, well, he's going through some sort of imposter syndrome or something like that. That's due to some deep stuff throughout the Final Fantasy story, which I won't get into too many details on, but still, it's pretty wild. But overall, I think Cloud is such a fantastic protagonist. He has the Buster Sword, one of his greatest, most iconic weapons of all time. That outfit of his is so iconic too, and that hair, bro. He make any anime fan jealous of that hairstyle. And plus, I absolutely love his limit breaks. He is hands down one of the coolest, most powerful characters in Final Fantasy history. And any game that features him, I am down to play.
Stay where you belong. In my memories.
Alright, now we're at number 11. So this is gonna go to one of the best villains in one of my top 3 favorite video games of all time. Metal Sonic from the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. Metal Sonic was created by Dr. Eggman to be an exact robotic clone of Sonic, and his main programming is just to follow Eggman's orders and help him take over the world, while his true primary programming and purpose is to destroy Sonic, his fleshy counterpart. And that's what Metal Sonic intends to do. Whether he's challenging him in a race, or whether it's a fight to the death, or something like that, Metal Sonic will always do whatever it takes to beat Sonic, because he is literally programmed to be better than Sonic in every way possible. However, Metal Sonic has a bit of a deep admiration to wanting to be more exactly like Sonic, and we see this as in the OVA, it's shown that Metal Sonic sort of carries some of Sonic's traits and stuff, which is pretty wild. But I think where Metal Sonic truly shines as a villain is in Sonic Heroes, when Dr. Eggman decides to power him up a bit by giving him a new upgrade. But that upgrade ended up overriding his program to the point where he decided to rebel against his master, and he decided to lure all of Sonic's friends by disguising himself as Eggman while copying their data in the background. And when he finally got to fight him, he just decided to turn into this giant kaiju dragon robot creature in order to destroy Sonic. I mean, sure, he failed at doing it, but it's the fact that he managed to accomplish all of this without the aid of Dr. Eggman by himself. It is just so appealing and so shocking to see a character like this. I wish we get more of Metal Sonic being so independent. I mean, I hope we get that sort of direction in the movie, which I'm very looking forward to. Okay, so now we're at number 10. This is gonna go to one of my favorite characters from my favorite anime, Android 17 from Dragon Ball. Android 17 is literally my favorite Dragon Ball character. I mean, I've already discussed why I love this character in my tribute to Akira Toriyama, rest in peace. And I basically went over a whole video on why he was my number one favorite character. And yeah. So anyways, Android 17 was a robot created by Dr. Gero with a sole programming to destroy Goku alongside his sister Android 18 and their friend Android 16. However, Android 17 ends up getting absorbed by Cell, and he sort of died after Cell blew himself up after vomiting out 18 and reverting back to a semi-perfect form. But after the battle, Android 17 was revived from the dead, as well as having Krillin to make a wish to remove the bombs from both 18 and 17's bodies. And so from that point on, Android 17 decided to become a good guy. He decided to become a park ranger, taking care of all the plants and animals on this deserted island that he works on, protecting it from evil poachers, which is pretty neat. He also has his own family, like he's married and he's got kids. It's pretty cool. And we also see 17 participate in the Tournament of Power with Goku and the Z Fighters, and man, 17 was really such a fantastic character throughout the Tournament of Power. Like, it was so refreshing to see this character return. He had such an amazing glow up. I love his design. It is just straight up awesome. And what I love about 17 the most is that he's one of the most serious fighters in all of DBZ. Like, just like Piccolo, he doesn't fool around. He takes his fights extremely seriously. I just love this one scene where the characters from Universe 2, they were trying to do their little Sailor Moon poses, and 17 just straight up attacks them mid-transformation, preventing them from doing so, and I can respect that, 17.
Okay, boys, open fire!
You poachers never learn.
Don't just stand there, shoot him!
Okay, so now we're at number 9, and on this spot we got a villain coming from another one of my favorite animes, and probably one of the most coolest looking villains and one of the best written villains of all time. Don Quixote Doflamingo from One Piece. Doflamingo is hands down one of the greatest villains in all of One Piece history. I mean, he originally started out as a celestial dragon, so he was a high noble who basically enslaved people, but after his family gave up their heritage, Doflamingo's life went from riches to rags, and it was rough for him. But after confronting his future members of the Don Quixote family, Doflamingo would get to work to becoming one of the most ruthless crime bosses of all time. I mean, the dude literally shot his dad at the age of 10. Then, as he grew older, the Don Quixote family helped him rise to the ranks. He became a pirate, and he even became one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Then, of course, he just did a whole bunch of crazy, sinister stuff. He runs a whole drug factory via the Smile Fruits, which is insane. He enslaves other people just for the sake of it, because, well, I mean, he's a celestial dragon. Of course he would do something as crazy like this. He gives off one of the most hardest speeches in Marineford, and then he took over all of Dressrosa and made everybody's lives a living hell. Like, this man is a crime syndicate boss incarnate. And then on top of that, he has one of the coolest devil fruits of all time. I mean, coolest is kind of stretching it a bit because the string fruit, I mean, yeah, it's literally just summoning strings from your fingertips, which isn't really all that helpful. But with proper training, Doflamingo has actually learned how to use his strings like the best of his ability. I mean, he can literally use his strings to cut people's limbs off and even cut through solid rock. And to make it even crazy, he could shoot bullet strings, create shadow clones, and he could even control people like puppets and force them to do stuff that he wants. Like, this guy is an absolute danger to society, and I gotta emphasize this, his drip is absolutely stylish. Like, that pink feather coat that he wears with the dozens of outfits he's got, it just screams, I'm an absolute badass that looks good, and I will prove it to you.
And you shouldn't be getting cocky, my friend, because the last time I checked, you're not my boss. No matter what kind of authority you might have as part of the world government, I'm still a pirate, so I don't care. And if I ever get tired of doing business with the likes of you clowns, I can just give up my title as a warlord. Don't you forget that.
And now it is time for numero ocho. I'm sorry, guys. I just had to. Alright, this is gonna go to another one of my favorite vampires and another one of my favorite villains from my favorite anime. He's mostly iconic for the memes, and I think some of you may know exactly who I'm talking about. Dio Brando from JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. Can I just take, like, some time to appreciate how well-written Dio is as a villain? Like, because Dio is the absolute definition of a generational hater, and he's the absolute definition of the most pettiest person you can ever meet. I mean, this dude serves a majority of the show just hating on Jonathan to the point where he doesn't want Jonathan to experience any happiness by having him having his dad turn against him, taking all of his friends, burning his dog alive, and stealing his girlfriend's first kiss. All just to make Jonathan miserable, but of course Jonathan gotta put him in his place. Then Dio ends up taking the stone mask and becoming an immortal vampire, and through their battle he may have lost, but he somehow survived and ends up successfully killing Jonathan and taking his own body for himself. Then in part 3, he has a new motive where he doesn't just want to take over the world, he wants to get rid of all of Jonathan's remaining members of his family, because even after all this time, Dio still can't stop his hatred for Jonathan. That is just pettiness on a whole nother level. Then a couple of other things happened during those times before part 3, like he did help Pucci become his successor and all that stuff, and that's pretty much all I gotta say. Now, I gotta say, Dio's powers and fighting style is just pretty cool. Now, he usually mostly carries knives as weapon. Like, he has a whole, like, collection of knives that he keeps in his pocket that he could just throw around like crazy. And as for his vampiric powers, I like how Dio has the ability to drain people's blood by sticking his fingertips through their body, and the blood just goes through his arm and into his body. Like, that is so crazy. In part 1, his powers mostly consist of laser beams and ice powers that he also had, but he doesn't really use those powers nowadays. Now, part 3 is where Dio becomes even more interesting because of his stand, the world. It basically allows him to punch his opponents at a very fast-paced speed. It can also allow him to fly, but its main ability is that it allows him to stop time for 5 seconds. Or when he absorbs Joseph's blood, it gets upgraded to stopping time for 10 seconds. And man, Dio will make absolute creative ways to defeat his opponents. One of the most insane moments is that when he uses the world to stop time. Talk about overkill, because this man carries a freaking steamroller out of nowhere to crush Jotaro and just beat it to death and just make sure that he's completely flattened. Like, again, talk about absolute overkill. But I just really love that Dio is he's just one of those villains that is very well written, very amazing, and that's pretty much all I gotta say about him.
And of this power I've gained from taking Jonathan's body. The Stand. It is the Stand that reaches out to the bodies of his descendants. There are always advantages and disadvantages to every situation. I will eliminate them all. The Joestar clan must be destroyed soon.
Okay, and now we are at number 7. This spot is going to go to a character that is so iconic in all of manga and anime, coming from a series that's so dark, so violent, and so over the top. Yet it's one of the best-selling mangas to ever exist with its graceful storytelling. And that character is Guts from Berserk. I am sick and tired of all the Berserk haters or all the people who don't understand Berserk just portraying Guts as nothing but an absolute monstrous badass and just straight up a killer and all that stuff. Like, Guts is more than that, and he wasn't always a brutal killer. Like, Guts' life has been nothing but absolute suffering from birth to present day, and man, I really feel for the character. Like, starting with his birth, like, he was literally born from the corpse of his own dead mother, and although he did have somebody to take care of him, she died when he was only 3 years old. And he did have another caretaker who was the leader of this mercenary group who taught him how to fight. But at the age of 9, this dude sold Guts out to a pervert and was even willing to kill the poor child. And not to mention all the abuse that Guts had to suffer. And it really pains me to see this. Now, when Guts turned 15, he was doing some mercenary work for himself, just making a living, you know. And then he ends up running into the Band of the Falcon, who recruits him, led by their leader, Griffith, who ends up becoming close friends with Guts, and they start to share some sort of nice bond. But that bond is immediately shattered when Guts decides that he wants to leave the group because he wants to find his own purpose and accomplish his own dreams, because, you know, he just wants to find out who he truly is. But he ends up finding out that he already has everything he wanted when he joined the Falcons, so he decides to stay with them after leaving. And yeah, sure, the Falcons didn't like him when he first got into the crew, but hey, they still, some of them at least showed some respect towards Guts. Even Casca, who hated him at first, ended up becoming his lover. And things seem to be pretty neat for Guts, but nope. The manga just says that Guts is not allowed to have happiness, and to show this, Griffith's betrayal just ruins everything. Not only does he sacrifice all of the members of the Band of the Falcon, Griffith does the worst thing to Casca, which I cannot say, and this ruins Guts. Like, not only did Casca's mind get completely eradicated and just messed her up, Guts ended up going on a path of revenge, making sure that Griffith will pay for his crimes because he is not going to let this slide. And I can see why he went through this. I mean, as I said, Guts was never this brutal killer that most people, when first reading Berserk, thought of him as that. Like, because deep down, Guts has his very human moments, and he does have moments where he's just pretty chill and just wants to do the right thing. It's just that his life is just so miserable, it makes me feel bad for him. And also, another thing I love about Guts is his theme song. It is the best. Like, Guts' theme song is the best song in all of anime history, and nobody's gonna tell me otherwise.
You're going to be all right. You just stumbled over a stone in the road. It means nothing. Your goal lies far beyond this, doesn't it? I'm sure you'll overcome this. You'll walk again. Soon.
Alright, we are now at number 6. And on this spot, it's gonna go to one of my favorite characters from one of my favorite Capcom franchises of all time. Dante from the Devil May Cry series. Dante is a half-human, half-demon who was born from the legendary demon knight Sparta, who rebelled against his master Mundus after deciding to defend humanity. Then, of course, he settled down with his wife Eva and had Dante and Virgil. But then Sparta suddenly disappeared, and Mundus wanted revenge on Sparta by having his demons go after his family. So Dante ends up becoming an orphan after his mother died, and after being separated from his brother, Dante decides to become a demon hunter and open up his own demon hunting business called Devil May Cry. And thus, Dante's journey has begun. Dante would go on to fight many powerful demons, even crossing paths with his brother Virgil from time to time. And when it comes to Dante as a character, he is so enjoyable. I mean, the dude is so lighthearted. He's like the definition of the good side of humanity. I mean, he may be a half demon, but he embraces his humanity to the fullest. And plus, when it comes to slaying demons, he does it in the most coolest way possible. I mean, he's always stylish and cool. He's also making fun of them, cracking snappy one-liners and jokes and stuff. Like, this dude, I think he'd be good friends with Sonic. And on top of that, Dante's arsenal and list of weapons and powers is just insane. Like, first off, being a half-demon, he can literally regenerate no matter how many times you try to stab him, or if you shoot him, he just keeps coming back, or just walks through it like it's nothing. Like, wow. And anyways, as for his weapons, he's got his main weapon, the Rebellion, a gift from his father, as well as his 2 dual pistol guns, Ebony and Ivory. On top of that, when he defeats a boss in the games, he gets a whole bunch of different new weapons alongside that. Like there's Cerberus, the 3-handed nunchucks that shoots ice, as well as the King Cerberus variant that shoots ice, lightning, and fire. Speaking of which, he can also shoot lightning out of a sword with Alistair, as well as an actual electric guitar that shoots electricity called Nevon. He's got Agni and Ruda, 2 small swords that allows him to utilize both fire and wind. Lucifer, I think it's some sort of backpack that carries like small swords that shoots laser swords or something like that. Pandora, a suitcase that turns into some sort of tank loaded with different forms and weapons, which is, wow, how can Dante utilize something as crazy as this? He's also got Beowulf, Gilgamesh, and Balrog, a bunch of fisticuffs and boots that allows him to do kung fu moves like he's Bruce Lee or Jean-Claude Van Damme or all the greatest fighters in all across the world. He's got my favorite weapon, Cavalier, a motorcycle that is also a chainsaw. And plus, who could forget Dr. Faust, a fedora that turns him into Michael Jackson. No, I'm not joking. Like, the moment Dante puts on that hat, he's shooting blood crystals at his opponents, but he's also dancing and styling like he's Michael Jackson. Like, I know a lot of you watching this video is like, I'm making this up. Trust me, I wish I was. But when Dante wants to tap into his full power, he embraces his demon side and activates Devil Trigger, one of the best transformations of all time. Like, when Dante activates Devil Trigger, his power gets a massive boost and he can fly and stuff. Dante is just so cool. I mean, like, there's not a single thing that I would not like about this character.
No. If you're gonna continue your research in the next world. No. Do your homework first. And the rest is silence.
Okay, now we're at number 5, and it's gonna go to one of my favorite comic book characters of all time. Like, y'all know me that as a big Marvel fan, and I absolutely love Marvel, especially the Marvel vs. Capcom franchise. So I thought for this spot, I'm giving it to my favorite Marvel character of all time, Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider is not just a single person. Ghost Rider itself is like an entity created by the devil Mephisto, the spirit of vengeance, aka Zarathos, I think that's how you say its name, is a living, vengeful spirit that possesses its host and can basically turn you into a flaming skeleton with chains or fiery weapons, and basically the whole purpose of the Ghost Rider is to exact vengeance and deliver justice to those who harm the innocent, which is pretty cool. The first one to become the Ghost Rider is Johnny Blaze, who many of you know is iconic. He made a deal with Mephisto to try to cure his father's cancer, but that ended up backfiring when his father died in a stunt crash. And now he's forced to be Mephisto's little puppet for the time being, doing collecting contracts from the pure evil that he would go up against. And yeah, Ghost Rider is just so cool. He's got the flaming chains, which is so cool. He can breathe fire and utilize all sorts of fire powers. The motorcycle is pretty cool, and what's even cool is that he's got his penance stare. It's a stare that basically when you look into somebody's eyes, you will inflict all the pain that they've inflicted on their victims, and it will be like insane. Like, wow. But anyways, like I said, there's more than one Ghost Rider, and there's so many different variants. Like, there's Danny, there's Robbie Reyes, who's pretty cool. There's Slade, the cowboy dude. There's a female Ghost Rider, which I actually didn't know. There's a villainous Ghost Rider called Vengeance, which is neat. The Cosmic Ghost Rider, which is basically what happens if the Punisher became Ghost Rider. There's even a Spider-Man, Black Panther, Wolverine, and Juggernaut variant of the Ghost Rider. Like, oh my god, I did not know this, and it's just shocking to me. And there's even a Ghost Rider that's Native American, and plus a Ghost Rider from the Stone Age that utilizes a flaming woolly mammoth. You don't get more cooler than this.
Face me! Vengeance awaits!
Like a combo KO!
Great! You have challenged my Hellspawn power and lost.
Alright, we are now at number 4, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, so I've mentioned a couple of my favorite waifus on this list, and I thought, you know what, let's throw in my number 1 favorite waifu who deserves this spot on the list. Monica from the Doki Doki Literature Club game. Doki Doki Literature Club is this visual novel game where Monica originates. She's basically a high school student who basically is the president of the literature club who invites the player to join. But turns out that there's more to Doki Doki Literature Club than just being a calm, like, school visual novel about literature and stuff, because there's just some freaky horror, uncanny stuff that you'll encounter in the game. And the crazy thing, Monica is completely self-aware of this. Like, she knows she's in a video game, and she knows that all of this is just created by a bunch of developers. And what's even crazy is that we learn that there's more to her than meets the eye, because she has the power to delete all the characters and basically reset or do all sorts of crazy things. She can, like, hack into computers and stuff. Like, she is a living sentient AI who's capable of doing all that. Her motive and desire is that she just wants to feel real love, not from the player character, but the literal player themselves, like the real person who's playing the game. And, you know, that's pretty insane. I mean, listen, I know people are gonna hate on me for defending Monica for this, but I mean, I can understand her motive. She just wants to feel real love, and she's trapped inside this video game and stuff, and, you know, I wouldn't mind being with her. I mean, she's a smart girl, and whenever she's alone with you in the Just Monica section of the game, when you have conversations with her, she's usually giving you daily life advice too, and she's honestly a good ideal girlfriend. I mean, like, I don't see what's wrong with her. I mean, yeah, the things she had to go through to, like, get to this point is wrong, but hey, it never hurts to give her a chance.
Everyone has all kinds of struggles and stresses, and professionals dedicate their lives to helping with those. If you think it could help you become a better person, don't be shy to consider something like that. We're on a never-ending journey to improve ourselves, you know? Well, I say that, but I think you're pretty perfect already.
Okay, now we are at number 3. Alright, this spot is gonna go to my favorite fighting game character, and this is going to be the last fighting game related character you're going to be seeing on the list. Ragna the Blood Edge from Blaze Blue. I've sung my praises about Blaze Blue several times, and I've mentioned it several times because I can't help myself. It's one of the most iconic fighting games of all time. And by the way, fun fact, Blaze Blue came out on my birthday. Like, it was released on my birthday of 2008, which means that it's not only my birthday, it's the 17th anniversary of the Blaze Blue franchise, and the 10-year anniversary of Blaze Blue Central Fiction. Pretty ironic. It just makes me love the series even more. Anyways, as for the character himself, Ragna the Blood Edge is the main protagonist. And listen, if you thought Guts had to suffer so much from Berserk, I mean, Ragna's suffering is not as bad as Guts, but man, does this guy go through so much. At a young age, like, some guy named Yuki Terami came in and stole his sister, turning her into a goddess of death, and he manipulated his little brother Jin to cut his own arm off. Luckily, Ragna survives thanks to Jubei handing him the Azure Grimoire, a very powerful artifact that basically everybody is coming after Ragna for. And plus, Ragna's been marked as an SS-class criminal, which means he's also being hunted by bounty hunters, vigilantes, and the NOL. But even all that, Ragna is not afraid to fight people, and even though he may seem like a cool edgelord that's not afraid to kill people, deep down he's a good-hearted person when push comes to shove, and he's had some human moments, so it's not entirely his fault for the things he go through, but when push comes to shove, he's a really good person. And what's even crazy is that in Blaze Blue Central Fiction, he decides to sacrifice himself and erase himself from the timeline so that everybody could have a happy future. Man, I really miss Blaze Blue. But anyways, I also love this character's fighting style. I mean, he's a typical sword fighter, as you all imagine, but he's also a Grim Reaper, and one thing I have never told you guys, I love characters who are Grim Reapers, because Grim Reapers, I think, are hands down the best things to come in life. I might make a top 10 favorite Grim Reapers list video, but yeah. So, Ragna's a Grim Reaper specifically from his Azure Grimoire, as it has a drive called Soul Eater, which allows him to drain the life force or take the souls of his opponents. Or what's even crazy is that he's even got his sword that can turn into a freaking scythe. And if that doesn't scream cool Grim Reaper, then I don't know what does. But yeah, Ragna is just an amazing character.
matter, brother? Don't have the guts to finish me off?
Look, dumbass, I didn't come here today to end your life. If you want to die, do it yourself.
Okay, so who's going to be on my number 2 spot of my list? Well, why not give it to one of the best characters to ever exist from one of my top 3 favorite franchises, and that being Zero from the Mega Man series. I love Mega Man, and it's no surprise to everyone who's watched my channel, but of all the Mega Man characters out there, Zero is the coolest character to ever exist. Originally created as a weapon of destruction by Dr. Wily, the main antagonist of the classic series, Zero ends up going through a different path, being a hero, joining the Maverick Hunters to deal with Mavericks, fighting alongside his best friend Mega Man X. However, their leader, Sigma, ends up deciding to declare war against humanity, so Zero, alongside X, would put a stop to his evil plans. Zero is the cool, awesome character that I absolutely love, but he's also a pretty good mentor from the earlier games, as he sort of acts like this guidance to help motivate X to become better and stuff, and that's honestly pretty cool. And Zero's always got X's back, which is neat. And then years later in the Zero series, when he gets revived by CL, there's been a whole war that's been going on, and like this whole world is at an apocalyptic state, and Zero is the only hero that's able to stop this apocalyptic world, so he agrees to help CL and the Resistance, and yeah. And unfortunately, he ends up dying at the end of the Zero series, which, man, it's so tragic. Why do all of my favorite characters tend to die? But, okay. That aside, I think Zero is amazing. He wields his trusty Z-Saber, one of the best melee weapons of all time. A typical lightsaber-like sword that is just pretty powerful, and it can utilize different elements of... It can utilize different elements whenever he beats certain bosses and stuff, which is neat. And on top of that, he's even got his Zero Buster, his arm cannon, and he can even carry a couple of other weapons that he obtains in the Zero series. And plus, I love the 2 designs that he has, both from the X series and the Zero series. He just looks so freaking cool. And plus, he's voiced by one of my favorite anime voice actors of all time. But yeah, overall, Zero is just an amazing character, and he's the best Mega Man character, no doubt in my mind.
Anyway, X. Even if we Reploids are destined to join the scrap heap when that evolutionary step does come about, we still have to fight, not only against Mavericks, but against our own destiny as well.
Before we get to my number 1 pick on the list, as always and as usual, here are my Bowser Jr. Fan 13 honorable mentions. I'm gonna try to speedrun through this list as fast as I can because, oh my god, this video was so insanely long, so I'll do the best I can. Foxy from Five Nights at Freddy's, the best animatronic in the game, no doubt. Meta Knight from the Kirby series, one of the greatest examples of from villain to hero. Charizard from Pokemon. Who doesn't want to have a fire-breathing dragon at their side? Sans from Undertale. The best representation of Undertale to ever exist. Susie from Deltarune. The one character that has the absolute best writing and the best character development throughout the whole game. Ryu from Street Fighter. One of gaming's greatest fighting game protagonists and one of the most iconic to ever exist. Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. He's yellow, he wields fire, and he's very insistent that you get over here. Sailor Venus from Sailor Moon. Easily my favorite Sailor Guardian in all of the anime. Colonel H. Stinkmeaner from the Boondocks. I have never seen a character that is the literal personification of hatred itself, and yet a character that can also be absurdly funny at the same time. Soul Bad Guy from Guilty Gear. An immortal man that's also a bounty hunter that goes about his business. Ride wife, life good. Carmine from Under Night in Birth, Carnage if he was a human being, Morgan Ainsland from Darkstalkers, one of the best succubus to ever exist, Yuna Arakami from Persona 4, an absolute Giga Chad, Jin Kazama from Tekken, a fighting game protagonist with complex morals and family problems, Alucard from Castlevania, one of the best heroic vampires to ever exist, Maureen Kitagawa from My Dress Up Darling. I swear, people like us, we need a Maureen in our lives, am I right? Rigby from Regular Show, a character that started from unlikable to likable. Patrick Star from SpongeBob SquarePants. If there's a funny character, or if there's any SpongeBob memes that has the most memorable quotes, this character is full of them. Ryuk from Death Note, one of the most terrifying looking characters in anime, and yet one of the most interesting ones too. Nightmare from Soul Calibur, easily one of the best looking medieval-like villainous characters to ever exist, wielding even one of the most craziest swords of all time. Alright guys, it's time to finally wrap up this video once and for all. And what better way than to finally showcase my #1 favorite character on this list. And to anybody who's watched this YouTube channel, it clearly is no surprise to anyone. And I mean, if my name is not too obvious, then I have no idea what it is. Because this character has shaped my legacy on this platform, and I would love to tell you why. Alright, my #1 favorite character, Bowser Jr. from the Super Mario franchise. Alright, like, I have so many fond memories of why I love this beloved character, but I'll probably save that for a whole documentary video in the future, if I reach 1,000 subscribers, that is. But anyways, Bowser Jr. is the young prince of the Koopa Kingdom and the son of Bowser. His main goal and motive is to help his father take over the Mushroom Kingdom and rule the world, as many villains do. And, of course, he just wants to make his own father proud. In his debut game, Super Mario Sunshine, he frames Mario for a crime he didn't commit by disguising himself as Shadow Mario and using his magic brush to spray paint all over Isle Delfino. And then afterwards, from that point on, he would become a recurring character, being a thorn in the Mario Brothers side. But Bowser Jr. has had a couple of heroic moments too, like whenever it involves him saving his father, like in Bowser's Fury, how he teamed up with Mario to save him from the black paint, or in Bowser Jr.'s Journey, the remake of Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. He goes on his own journey, which also has him going through some sort of character arc, which is pretty neat. Not to mention, he gives one of the most coolest speeches in gaming history about morality and all that stuff, and it just makes him even cooler. But yeah, aside from that, I think he's a pretty amazing character. Another thing that I absolutely love about Bowser Jr. is his boss fights. Whenever he's in any Mario game, I'm always looking forward to his boss fights, because for a kid his age, he has some of the most unique bosses and the most unique fights to ever exist. I mean, he fights inside, sometimes he'll fight the characters head on, breathing fire, of course, or throwing items like Koopa shells or bombs. But most of the time he's usually in his Koopa clown car, which has so many tools and weapons equipped with it. It's got cannonballs, drills, buzzsaws, it's got boxing gloves, it can turn into a car, it's got Mecha Koopas. Like, I don't know how Bowser Jr. is able to create so many tools with his very own Koopa clown car, but it's very unique and amazing. And speaking of unique and amazing, he's also got a couple of other machines at his disposal. I don't know if he created the Mega Leg boss from Galaxy 1, but I know he created a Mega Hammer from Galaxy 2 and the Boomsday machine as well. Those are fantastic machines, and I had so much fun with those bosses. In Dream Team, he's one of the best bosses because he's so unique, because not only is he a secret boss in that game, he's very smart, because when you use a bro move on him, he'll tickle the Mario Bros, making them drop their bro move, and they can't use it for the rest of the fight, which makes it extremely challenging, so you better pick your decisions wisely if I were you. And on top of that, I also love his new Wonder transformation that he gets from Super Mario Bros. Wonder. It's pretty cool, though. If I'm gonna be honest, like, the concept of it is amazing, though I wish they could have expanded just a little bit more on it, but, I mean, can't complain too much. But, yeah, I think that's pretty much all I gotta say about all this. And so, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, now you know exactly why Bowser Jr. is my #1 favorite Mario character of all time. And that's all we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. So what do you guys think of my list? Do you agree?